Patrick Nogueira committed one of the most shocking crimes in modern Spanish history in 2016, brutally murdering his aunt, uncle, and their two young children in Pioz, Spain. This horrific act shocked both Spain and Brazil, his home country, due to its extreme violence and chilling premeditation. Nogueira, a young Brazilian man, had moved to Spain earlier that year to live with his relatives. Initially described as introverted and quiet, those closer to him observed signs of psychological instability and violent tendencies. He had a history of troubling behavior, including an assault on a teacher in Brazil, for which he faced minimal consequences, suggesting a pattern of avoiding accountability. In Spain, his uncle Marcos Campos and aunt Janina Santos welcomed him into their home, but tensions soon arose. Marcos criticized Patrick for his lack of direction and discipline, creating conflict within the household. Experts believe that while these disputes contributed to an uneasy relationship, the murders were primarily driven by Nogueira's deep-seated psychological issues rather than family problems alone. On August 17, 2016, Nogueira traveled to his relative's home in Pioz, carrying tools for the murders. He killed Janina first by slitting her throat. Her two young children, aged 1 and 4, were present, but Nogueira showed no hesitation and murdered them in a similarly brutal manner. Hours later, when Marcos returned home from work, Nogueira killed him as well, completing the massacre. He then dismembered the bodies and placed them in plastic bags, which he left in the house for weeks. Neighbors reported a foul odor, leading to the gruesome discovery. The investigation faced initial challenges, as Nogueira had attempted to cover his tracks. However, forensic evidence and digital footprints proved critical to solving the case. Notably, Nogueira had sent real-time updates of the murders to a friend in Brazil through text messages, describing his actions in graphic detail and showing no empathy. Despite fleeing to Brazil in an apparent attempt to avoid extradition, Nogueira voluntarily returned to Spain and confessed to the murders. His confession, combined with overwhelming forensic and digital evidence, left no doubt about his guilt. Psychological evaluations revealed that Nogueira was a psychopath, showing no empathy, remorse, or guilt. He was manipulative, fascinated by violence, and consumed media, depicting extreme brutality, which he later emulated in his crimes. These findings painted a portrait of an individual capable of committing heinous acts without any moral conflict. In 2018, Nogueira stood trial in Spain. Prosecutors emphasized the premeditated nature of the murders and the vulnerability of the victims, especially the children. The defense argued that Nogueira's mental state diminished his responsibility for the crimes, but this claim was rejected by the court. He was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to life imprisonment, the maximum penalty under Spanish law. The sentence reflected the brutality and premeditation of his actions. The case had a profound impact in both Spain and Brazil, sparking widespread public outrage and discussions about psychopathy and the prevention of violent crimes. Forensic psychologists and criminologists have studied the case to gain insights into the mindset of individuals capable of such extreme violence. Meanwhile, the families of the victims continue to grieve their devastating loss, with the case serving as a stark reminder of the human cost of violence. Patrick Nogueira's crime is remembered as a chilling example of premeditated violence, psychological disturbance, and familial betrayal. It underscores the importance of understanding and addressing the psychological factors that lead to such devastating acts, and highlights the need for early intervention in cases where individuals exhibit troubling behavioral or psychological signs. The legacy of this crime remains a grim cautionary tale of the darkest aspects of human behavior.